Can you hear that? It says recording in progress.
You're darn right I could.
Damn, Sam.
Damn, Sam, I love a woman who reigns.
Damn, Sam, I love a woman who reigns.
You remember the old Ryan Adams, do you?
I love the Ryan Adams, but that's not I'm spelling reigns differently. I'm spelling R-E-I.
So you're doing a twist.
I love a woman who reigns.
How's this backdrop outside? Blue skies.
You look good right now. You look
it looks
nice.
Very blurry on my end, but that could just be,
On my end, it doesn't. Behind the background looks blurry because you have black round blur.
Black round blur.
Yeah, you have black round blur on.
So, Mitch, I don't know how to do podcasts. I'm on an empty stomach. I'm vodkas and vodkas deep. You're going to have to take over.
Okay, great. Thanks. First of all, thank you for being here, Ben. You are the podcast leader. I'm the secondary podcaster. It looks ridiculous with the blur on. Looking at your feed, it looks like it's cut out, and there's a nice forest landscape behind you. I'm sorry, in front of you, that we're kind of not seeing. Wow, I think that looks better. I think stay like that.
Yeah, I'm into that. And then I can occasionally show. So one thing, I sit on this porch often on my drinking days. I sit here and I look right there at that big tree in the distance. And every time I sit here, I think the earth is stationary. It's weird. It's only really when I'm here, especially, I think the earth is stationary.
I think it's because you're looking uphill.
Maybe. I guess I've looked up a lot of hills, but I just have never had such a feeling the earth is not moving until I'm out here.
Well, because it really stands still when you're there.
Time stands still. This is my escape. This is the last house in Lynchburg, Virginia, where you can still go and be a free human. You can talk deep. It's always deep talks. It's always people will be having marijuana. People will be having alcohol. It doesn't matter what time of day. It's very bohemian here. It's the last remnant of the steel-deprived band house.
Well, no, I quite like it. So I think this is one way we can get started with this is we can just start by sharing a screen. Why not?
Are we going to start out with the basic bitchin' segment?
If we can do that. You ready for where I go for basic bitchin'?
Yeah, let's take a look at the news. It's got the whole world itching. Baby, it's time for some basic bitchin'. And
we'll take a look at the news. It's got the whole world itching. Baby, it's time for some basic bitchin'. Basic bitchin'.
For that, I'm going to overdub the actual new jingle and song.
Hey, that works for me. This is not just heartbroken, but angry, Mayor says. In Philadelphia, there was multiple shooters that opened fire into a popular Philadelphia area neighborhood, I guess you'd call it. It's South Street. It's always been a bustling neighborhood. It's gotten worse lately. The last time I went there, it was scary. What happens is gangs of teenagers show up and they start roaming the streets. And before you know it, you're kind of nervous. It's also become kind of segregated, I've noticed. When I used to frequent South Street, when I went to Temple University, it was a diverse crowd. You'd find all cultures there. Nowadays, it's pretty black. There's no other way that I can say it. It's pretty black. Now, here it is on the map. You've got Center City here in the downtown Philadelphia, the Center City area, and then just not quite South Philly, but just outside of, how can I zoom? Why can't I zoom? There it is. Just outside of Philadelphia, sort of not far from Penn's Landing, you have South Street. And this is a popular street, especially east of Broad Street. So Broad Street's going to be over here.
Is that near Fishtown?
Yeah, it's not far at all from Fishtown. So let's go back. So here's the Broad Street, which Ben Franklin proposed be broad so that if the city burnt, the whole city didn't burn down. So he made it twice or three times as big as a regular street so that the whole city wouldn't burn down in a fire. He called it Broad Street. Now,
that's fun. Fun fact.
Once you get down towards like 10th Street, okay, so there's the Magic Garden. So this is a popular spot that everybody knows. This guy does art using glassware and mirrors. And he does, if you go to his quote unquote garden, it's really a mirror garden. And it's all mosaic style. It's quite beautiful. Everything south of this, east, all the way up to about the riverfront area is your bar area. And so it's Philadelphia Party Town, USA. They actually had a Road Rules. What was the other MTV show? They had Road Rules.
Real World.
Okay. They had Real World Philadelphia, where they lived in a flat on South Street, because that's where all the party had happened. There's also a place somewhere around here called Condom Kingdom, where you can get tasteful condoms of different colors, of different flavors, of some that are vibrating, some which are more static in nature. You can get lubricant for anal sex, especially catering to the gay community, which is vibrant, especially in Old City, which is nearby South Street. And that's my history of South Street. Now let's look up some pictures.
I appreciate that. I spent a lot of time in Philly because when I was living in Nashville and I want to come visit you and the fam, I would rent cars through the Lyft service, and I would rent them from Philly. So I would Uber from the airport or whatever to their Lyft station, and I'd get the car, and I'd have to put 20 hours of work in just to pay off the car rental. But then I'd have a car and I'd be free. So I worked in Philly 2 straight days, 14 hours straight, 2 days in a row, and I slept in the car in a Planet Fitness parking lot. So I got to see basically all of Philadelphia. And the one area that stuck out with me was underneath of the train tracks. There's the elevated train, and it's they do heroin right on the street there. It's like common knowledge. Like, yeah, these guys are shooting up. Like, no one gives a shit. Philly is interesting because they have more potholes than anywhere on God's green earth. So it's devastating as a driver.
Mm-hmm.
But
especially
it's got a lot of really nice. Well, I was all over that place. So a lot of really, really nice places, and then a lot of really terrible places. I guess that's cities for you, but I saw the heroin abusers and users. But you're saying this
Philly is horrible. Philly's worse than any major city that I've ever been to. Philly recently went from, sorry to interrupt, but Philly went from being, I believe it was the 4th biggest city in the nation, to the 5th recently in our time, with Phoenix sliding into that 4th spot. People are leaving Philly. It's a mass migration sort of out of Philadelphia, and they're doing it just in time. So here you have, and this is not abnormal. Now, when I used to go here, there was a Fat Tuesday down the street here, and it wasn't this, it was more diverse. What we're looking at here is Saturday at 23:30, which is what time? What is 23:30? What time is that? Bad in military. Do you know? I don't know the military. Do you know the military
time? That's 8:00.
Wow, it's hard to believe it was just 8:00. But you can see here, you don't see a lot of white people. You don't see a lot of Latinos. You don't see a lot of Asians. This is what South Street used to be. Really a wonderful place to go. It is all African American. It is all black now.
And you're saying that's not a good or a bad thing?
No, I'm saying that's fine. It's kind of neutral. But what I'm saying, where it gets scary, well, white people have fled. There's been a white flight. That's easy to understand. But it's still a neutral thing. Now, what makes it bad is when you start getting these teenagers who aren't even old enough to go to the bars. They have nothing to do but fuck around on their motorcycles, which are usually they're illegal motorcycles. And they do wheelies, and they also do the same with bicycles. And bicycles can be dangerous when you're barreling at a group of 30 people doing a wheelie with the bicycle. So let's look at right before the shooting. Let's see what happens.
We're going to leave here about 4:30.
I'm not sure what we're seeing here so far. It's just people walking around.
This is right before now. Some people are running. I see a couple of people running in the middle. A car's pushing its way through.
So traffic
Any
can't even get
moment
through.
now. Look at this.
Oh wow, that
there's-
car's.
I mean, that cleared up quickly.
Oh yes, it did. So someone started shooting from a car.
Let's do it one more time. So what you have, we're hanging out, we're having some drinks, we're having lean or whatever they're drinking, and a car comes through. So a couple people walk out,
Scissor sometimes.
and then here we go. It's not funny, but it's awful. But so he pushes his way. Look. The car almost runs over a few people, bulldozes them. And what you have there is,
Was he shooting from the car?
I don't know. No, it's my understanding that teenagers showed up to the scene, and they usually are. They're the folks that engage in that activity because they hear it, I suppose, in the music, or it's part of their culture, right? And I heard it once described as this, Ben, that when you have a gun, then you're no longer stronger than me. When you have a gun, you can be, it doesn't matter how old you are. But when you have access to a firearm, and I see that you're pointing at your friend sharing cannabis sativa or something.
Well, I told him, I said, give me the stick. I could use the nicotine out here. I'm running off of vodka, so I need some nicotine to build me back up.
Oh, I gotcha. And I just remember a police officer in Brooklyn describing the problem with Brooklyn, and he alluded to these 14-year-olds.
Shower.
It's really hard to have
No,
a
I
conversation.
need this. You can't have this in the shower. Really? Okay. He's going to share it with me. He talked me into going to a local Lynchburg baseball game, which is not my style. I don't give a shit about baseball. But he says, hey, I'll buy you a couple of the overpriced beers. I say, fine. What are you going to do?
Said I would buy you a ticket and I would buy your natural lights.
Okay, well, buy me a ticket, and that's fine because I'll sneak in a flask. I'm not playing the $10 Coors Light game today.
That's a beautiful day for a baseball game.
I don't have to tell our 200 IQ millionaire listeners this, but don't pay $10 for a Coors Light. Don't.
Lights are not 10. The Devil's Backbone are 10.
I'm hearing breaking news that the Devil's Backbone are 10. The Coors Lights are like 8. Don't pay 7 or 8 for a Coors Light. Just don't do it.
We're pre-gaming at the Stadium Inn for $1 each.
Yeah. And I'm going to run back to my baby before the game is over, so he's going to be in big trouble because I have a responsibility as a father to sober up and take care of my child.
Big time.
We don't want to derail the cast, Brian. We can't be talking about alcoholism in baseball games during this. Okay, we're covering the news right now.
It's literally 80 degrees. It's the most
This is the basic
pristine
bitching
environment.
segment, and we are not done basically bitching about shit.
I have a new video
I
of the
have
shooting.
a quick rant. Okay, I like that. If we're on the topic of shootings, I would like to say yet again how I feel about this whole situation. So we've got the mainstream news is basically a full-time attack on the Second Amendment. Once again, the left-wing side is having a complete lack of context for where they're starting their argument from. They're starting their argument from a place of no one needs an AR-15 to hunt. No one needs 16 rounds in their handgun in their glove box for they're missing the point that the reason we're so diehard about keeping our guns is the same reason why the founding fathers made sure we were allowed to have guns in the first place, which is to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government.
Yeah, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable one.
I mean, they understood this happens through history. Every 200 or so years, the government becomes corrupt. The government becomes tyrannical. It's clear to see all through history, but they think this is some new time. It's not. There's nothing new under the sun. So we're keeping our guns because when gas is $15 a gallon under this
Right.
administration,
Right.
and when there's no milk, when there's no baby formula, and all these mothers who are quadruple vax and can't breastfeed, the shit's gonna hit the fan. And I'd like to have a way to protect my family because we've already seen the government's not going to protect us. They can't even protect the kids at school.
Right.
Even when
Go ahead.
Even a gunfight, they have 12 minutes to subdue an 18-year-old outside of the school, and these men who have sworn an oath to protect can't stop him from going inside and killing a bunch of kids. I think I'll take matters into my own hands, as is
Yeah.
my constitutional right to maintain a well-regulated militia within my house and my immediate community.
Right. How long will they take to respond to your house then? And then when would they come in? And the answer is when they stop hearing the firing of the bullets.
Well,
Probably.
the beauty of that is I have a specific example that I've never even told the story of when my house was shot up, and it took them 12 minutes to get there. As I'm laying on the floor covering up my pregnant at the
12
time.
minutes is pretty good.
Is it though? I mean, we're not even 12 minutes. We're not 12 minutes from the police station. So you think, okay, my first thought as the bullets started flying through the wall was someone's in the yard trying to kill us, because that made perfect logical sense at the time. I mean, 7 bullets through the bedroom. It's hard to accidentally shoot 7 bullets through a bedroom. So I grabbed our guns. Thank God I had them. And I put one faced at the front door and one at the back window, because that's where I thought the most likely face was going to pop up. And I called the cops and I said, look, I have guns. Someone's shooting at us. Hurry up. If someone comes into my house, I'm going to kill them. And they have all this recorded. And I'm sure they've reviewed the tapes and decided that I was, in fact, innocent victim of a violent attack. But I was so glad I had those guns. It's the only thing that kept me feeling like I had a chance to defend my family. It's the only thing. The cops were there 12 minutes later. It doesn't take 12 minutes to kill somebody. I mean, it takes seconds. Kept that gun at the front door, scared, seeing white, couldn't catch my breath properly, but I knew, hey, at least I have a fighting chance. Take the guns out of the picture. What do I have? I'm cowering in a corner, covering up my pregnant wife, waiting to be somebody's bitch. No thanks. As someone who's actually experienced real violence firsthand, the guns were the most important thing in the world at that moment. So good luck taking them. This country was founded upon this. The dialogue needs to stop, because there's 400 million guns in America and we're not giving them up. I'm sorry it makes liberals uncomfortable, but some of us were raised with weapons and we respect them, and we're not going to go shoot up schools or hospitals. We're going to defend our family from whatever might come down the road.
Well said. Well said.
Sorry, libs. I'm keeping my guns.
Let's really, and I was going to bring up the same point, like that a lot of people have when it comes to guns, having witnessed this latest school massacre. The cops waited outside for 70 minutes. Some say it was a couple minutes longer than that, when there was a hero parent who had gone in unarmed and saved her twins. And they did nothing. They didn't do a fucking thing. They just waited and waited until a young man, not young, middle-aged guy who worked for, I guess, the Border Patrol, took a barbershop's shotgun. You know, I guess the barbershop in Texas, they all have shotguns. He took it, went in using that weapon. He's trained with a shotgun before, but he's never used this particular one. I can't imagine, unless he shoots with his barbershop buddy. Leaves mid haircut and goes and saves his wife and child. The police did nothing. Fucking badass. So I'm going to share again, because we have a better view of the actual shootings. I don't know. I can guess what these, if these were, I can guess because of where they're located in that part of the city. I would assume it was young black teenagers, because that's where the most of the gun virus, it could be a virus, violence comes from. But I really don't know if it was a deranged white kid who participates in a lot of these shootings, or if it was a black kid. So for the first time, I'm going to witness, and we can all kind of see together. You may already know, Ben. Don't give it away if you know it, because I don't.
I don't know.
Here's a better shot of the perpetrators. Black.
Yeah, what the mainstream news won't tell you is statistically the majority of mass shooters are all over the charts. I mean, it's Mexican, black, never Asian, actually, really, basically, and some white too. But
are you watching this?
Yeah, they don't talk about the numbers.
Did you see that?
I did. Why were they shooting? What do you think's going on here?
So this guy starts, if both of them have guns, the one on the right punches this guy. And then he starts losing the fight, it looks like. And when he starts losing, he starts firing his weapon. Look, the guy takes.
Typical cowardice. And see, the mainstream's not worried about this type of violence because it doesn't fit the narrative of disarming the average American. That's the problem with something like that. It's still considered, I mean, it's still a mass shooting. It's still horrific violence. It's not as bad as shooting up a school. They have to have that great emotional component of, oh my God, kids died. And that really works for a number of reasons. It gets people paying attention. It gets everyone watching the godforsaken mainstream news. It gets everyone thinking gun safety. What can we do? I mean, without that gun. My argument would be in 70 minutes, he could have killed each of those kids with a fucking pencil. 70 minutes. Holy shit. A musket would have easily done the job. Can you show us the video of the interview with the mother? I haven't seen that still. The mother who went in and saved her kids. Since the cops weren't doing anything, since the government wasn't doing shit, since the state wasn't protecting human beings.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find it real. I have it right here. Let me see if I can pull it up. And we can put that on. It was, she's quite the woman. Holy shit.
You said you watched this and you said it made you emotional.
Yeah, this one brought tears to my eyes. Sometimes they do.
Was it seeing a powerful mother just taking matters in her own hands?
Yeah, it was a mom. Yeah, exactly. It was a mom who really, really was just a mom. She was a regular mom. And she had, I guess, a bigger heart than the police. Let me see if I can see this video.
I mean, this is a feminist cast, and we think mothers are heroes in every circumstance that they stick around. They're heroes.
Oh my God, they're incredible. So mother who discusses moments inside. So we're going to see this right now. So let me go ahead and pull it up. Looks like there's a little moment here beforehand, and then
they want to advertise something, and okay, I can't hear it.
You know what? I have to do something so that you can hear it. Shit, because that means you didn't hear the other one. Okay, now we know, guys. We're evolving as a podcast. We are going to get better. So when I share the screen, I also want to share. Let me try this again. New share. Okay, share sound. Okay, can I make that all the time?
You would think.
Screen, and then there's this one. All right, so here we go.
Back and handcuffed her as the shooting unfolded. Lilia Luciano has the exclusive interview. Lilia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Anne Marie, and to Vlad. I met with Angeli Gomez yesterday in a field nearby. She's a farm worker. She was telling me that her kids, on the morning of the shooting, had both graduation ceremonies or ceremony at school. She showed up there, but she didn't want to take photos with them. She told me she was embarrassed because she had come straight from work. She was working early that morning, and she was dusty from the field. But her kids told her, "Mom, we want to take this photo." She says, "I'm so glad I took that photo because it could have been the last one." And it was for many of the parents who lost their children who had been there. Like many parents, after that, she left, she went back to work, back to the field. And within 10 minutes, she received a frantic call from her mom telling her that there was a shooting at the school. So she got in her car and she sped at about 100 miles an hour, she told me, until she finally got here. And this is what she told me after.
Right away, as I parked, U.S. Marshals started coming toward my car saying that I wasn't allowed to be parked there. And he said, "Well, we're going to have to arrest you because you're being very uncooperative." I said, "Well, you're going to have to arrest me because I'm going in there, and I'm telling you right now, I don't see none of y'all in there. Y'all are standing with snipers, and y'all are far away. If y'all don't go in there, I'm going in there." He immediately put me in cuffs.
She says after Uvalde police officers told marshals to uncuff Gomez, she ran towards the school.
As soon as they uncuffed me, I jumped that first gate fence. And once I jumped it, I went to my son's class, and I knocked on the door, and I remember the teacher saying, I'm like, hey, they're already bolt cutting the fence to get me. She's like, you think we have time to get out? I said, y'all have time. I'm gonna run for my other son.
Once she was assured her son was okay, Gomez ran to get her other child, encountering more officers who tried to stop her.
So I start yelling and I'm being a cooperative and I'm like, well, y'all aren't doing what are y'all doing? Y'all ain't doing y'all need to be in here. Give me your vest. Somebody give me a vest. Something. I started paying attention to how far the shots were being so that I knew the shooter was all the way still by my first son's class. So when I went to my second son's door, the teacher didn't want to open the door for me. So that's when they started escorting me out. And as I see that they're opening my son's door, I go run for my son and I get him.
With both of her kids out safe, Gomez still can't shake the thought of those who didn't make it.
While you were inside the school, did you see officers
There was
inside
not one
the school?
officer inside the school when I
In
ran
the
to my second son's class. There was not one officer.
And you were hearing gunshots, so you knew
You
that
could hear the
it was
gunshots.
an active shooter.
It was still active. The gunshots were still active. They were not in there. There was no one in there. If anything, when I pulled up, my car was closer to the school than where the snipers and everybody that was laying on the ground were.
When you heard that it took law enforcement 75 minutes before they went in and stopped the shooter, what was your thinking, having been inside the school yourself?
I don't know. I was just thinking that they could have saved many more lives. They could have gone into that classroom and maybe 2 or 3 would have been gone, but they could have saved the whole class. They could have done something. Gone through the window, sniped them through the window. I mean, something, but nothing was being done. If anything, they were being more aggressive on us parents that were willing to go in there. And like I told one of the officers, I don't need you to protect me. Get away from me. I don't need your protection. If anything, I need you to go in there with me to go protect my kids. And if anything, they were being more aggressive on us. They were more pertain on keeping us back than getting into that school.
You know, her account is another reflection of just the gaps in communication, those holes that were.
That is brutal. I guess every one of those cops doesn't have kids, because any parent would gladly die in an attempt to save their children from a fucking madman. Any parent would. I mean, what in the hell happened out there?
Listening to her come on there and have that internal maternal instinct, like, get the fuck out of my way. We're not going to sit here while you guys try to snipe. You're like 100 yards away from the school waiting for a window shot. She's like, no, I got to get in there. I got to get my kids and get them to safety.
I'm surprised they didn't shoot her ass for going in there and saving her kids.
Right. And then now, is the ice cream truck driving by your house? I heard some bells.
That's a windmill.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. It's not mine, but thank you.
That's really beautiful. So, so we hear about tragedy. I don't want to make this whole episode about tragedy, so let's switch up our stance. What a amazing woman. What's her name? Angeli Gomez.
Again, as we're talking about these horrific things, I feel bad putting them in the basic bitching segment, but we're so desperate to get the basic bitching segment off the ground. We have to talk about whatever's mainstream and during those times. What were some things we wanted to talk about on a more positive note?
Well, we have something a little bit more positive right here. Let me see if I can. We only have a couple more minutes because there is, it turns out, a limit to how long we can do the HT video on Zoom. I have 10 minutes with you left, which is
crooks. That's good. We're trying to shorten the length anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. So I have a video here for you, and maybe we can discuss something like this. This is Alex Stein, 99, asking, did I share the sound, or am I a fucking idiot? Let me see. You know what? I always thought Zoom was the least intuitive. Let's try this.
It certainly is.
I want to share it. Oh, look, it's already selected share sound. Great. So
You're doing it.
Here we go. Just a little background on this. Austin, Texas. Drag queens. Dancing with kids involved. I forget what the name of this event was.
Is that a man or a woman there fleeing the scene?
It depends of what your definition is.
For little children? Do you like dancing for little children? You don't think that's disgusting? dancing around for little children. Away from me. Don't you think that's disgusting? I need you to
Get the fuck away.
And look at this pot belly.
Look at that guy.
You touch me. Your mom's a bitch. Go on.
You don't think that's disgusting? Dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I fuck him. Is he a child? No.
You guys dancing little children. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're disgusting. Think about what you just did. Okay, that's fine, but you danced naked in front of little children. You dance.
And look at her.
Oh my God.
Antifa.
Stop. You dance in front of little children.
The freak show brigade comes out.
Children.
Like, hey, no one takes you people seriously. And I wouldn't let that fucking potbelly fella or that guy girl within a fucking 100 yards of my kids. Just basic intuition. You wouldn't let these people near your kids.
You wouldn't let them near your kids. And I mean, just looking at some of the photos inside the drag queen hour. Of course, there's a big neon sign behind all of the children and the drag queens that say it's not going to lick itself.
So what's that message for the 7-year-olds who are just now learning how to read and they say it's not going to lick itself? Mommy, what does that mean? How do you explain to your... I mean, who are these people taking their kids to this shit?
It's not going to lick itself. And then here they are. It's these people.
Ugh.
Who thinks that she has a daughter that's trans because she's
What's
3
going
years
on
old
with
and
them?
likes trucks.
Is the problem confirmed that this is spiritual warfare and there's a spiritual sickness gripping the earth because it's the devil's realm and these people are going the path of the wicked and it's our job to try to stay righteous? Far from perfect, but try to stay righteous.
You brought up this whole thing quite a while ago and you were like, you called me. I don't know. I thought you were high at the time. And you rarely are. I know that you're not. So I don't want the audience to think that you sometimes get high. It was just an unusual time. And you started talking about this big battle of good versus evil. And it seemed like something out of Lord of the Rings. But the more that I see it, the more I'm like, wait a minute, you might be onto something. By the way, in case you're not paying attention, this is one of the largest egg farms in the country. It was food factory number 19 that have been torched. People say that this is China. It's high level spies and I guess arsonists, you might call them now, who are going in and they're fucking with our food factories. Number 19 food factory, giant, incredible, largest producer of eggs in the country, burning up. So we got a lot to talk about. This is just a little teaser. It's a little Sunday teaser. We're going to get on here after Ben's baseball game that he's attending.
Oh, look at that. Israel is admitting to COVID vaccines and a 25% increase in cardiac arrest.
New study links COVID vaccines to 25% increase in cardiac arrest for both males and females. The study is based on data from emergency services. COVID infection itself is not linked to a significant increase in cardiovascular complications. So they're saying that there's a chance that we're reading some terrifying statistics here. If
only millions of people had warned them not to take an experimental jab pushed on you by big pharma and a cooperative overthrown government.
And let's leave them with this, Ben. These monkeys were taken from the zoo and they were, according to the caption, and they were treated at different facilities for something. Okay. And when they brought them back together, this is what took place.
Oh, now that's cute. That's warm. That's the love we need to keep alive in this world. Look at that.
They just love each other. They're just two adorable little sweetheart animals.
That's beautiful.
That love each other. So guys, here we go. That was a quick one.
Yeah. I think we covered a couple.
But a goodie.
Well, I guess I'm going to go eat some food to start sobering up, and maybe we'll even hit it again.
If we could hit it one more time before it gets too late, that would be great because they need us out there. We've been slacking on it.
We have, yeah. I mean, these 200 IQ millionaire listeners aren't going to feed themselves, are they? They're too busy making money and thinking to do their own research in this stuff.
It's crazy. Well, have a good time at the baseball game. and I will see you at 7 o'clock.
God bless your heart. See you then.
God bless, Ben.
Bye now.